Hey, today I thought we'd talk a little bit about the Oakwood Village, Ohio waving giant. Not this guy back here. He's a mufflerman head I pulled out of San Diego. But the waving giant in Oakwood Village. This is an interesting, the whole waving giant Texaco Big Friend thing. So there's two giants that look very similar that International Fiberglass made. One is what I call, and a few of us call, a waving giant, very rare. The other one is a Texaco Big Friend. Made 300 of those. Of course, only 6 are left today that we know of, as well as a handful of body parts laying around. So to the best of my knowledge, probably about 5 waving giants were made. What I think happened is Texaco ordered 300 of these guys, right, the Texaco giants. And International Fiberglass probably had some interest from customers that also wanted one. Well, Texaco had an exclusive on it. In other words, only Texaco could use them. International Fiberglass could not use their mold and make others for other people. So what ended up happening, I think, is that International Fiberglass made the waving giant, which was very similar. The hands were a little different, a little more puffy. The giant was just as tall. The legs were slightly different, a little more straight. The head was obviously different. There was no hat, at least not the Texaco hat. And these waving giants could actually come in a few different versions. The one in Oakwood Village is just basically the same as what Glenn Good had down in Texas, and that's like just a pants and a shirt. But they also made them with a suit coat. The one in Massachusetts has a top hat, so they could be modified a little bit and come in different versions. But the one in Oakwood Village is very similar to the one that I saw in Chicago, which is just pants, shirt, and no hat of any kind. We know that waving giants were made for a few different locations. Southern California got one. Also, Ohio got one. We know that Dallas, Texas got one. And we also know Chicago got one. Massachusetts got one as well. So there may be a few more that just got lost to time, but those are the waving giants we know of. Now, this waving giant is what Glenn Good found very close to Dallas, Texas, way back in the 80s. It was at a go-kart track, and he found this headless giant, which he got, and he made a mold from it and made copies eventually. But he needed a head for it, so he actually molded a regular mufflerman head, just like the one you see behind me, and that's how he has kind of this strange mufflerman giant at his place there that nobody can really figure out what it is, because it's like a different body with the head we're all familiar with. And that's the story. It's a waving giant. It lost its head, and Glenn made a new one, and he made copies of it. There's the one near Cadillac Ranch, the Second Amendment Cowboy. That's a Glenn Good version. That's a copy of a waving giant with the wrong head. So now when you look at this Oakwood Village waving giant, you can really see what the correct head looks like. Anyhow, in Canton, Ohio, around 1993, there was a place called the Raft Road Raceway, and they had one of these waving giants. Never seen a picture of it, but we know it was there. At the same time, there was a guy in Oakwood Village, Ohio, that had a graphic design shop, and he had a regular muffler man, and it was a cowboy version, probably a Phillips 66 guy. He was sold to a museum around 2000. And Brian, the owner of this graphic design place, missed the giant, so he found this waving giant down in Canton that had been probably was in storage for the last 10 years, and around 2003 he bought the giant. So he's had the waving giant, which he's called a Texaco guy, but it's technically not. And we visited it back in 2012. I was there and had to climb over the fence to get video with permission. So all the way until now, this one of these rare waving giants has been in Oakwood Village, and we just found out from Roadside America that it's been relocated to East Cleveland. Or West Cleveland. And I'm not exactly sure where it's going to end up, hopefully where the public can continue to enjoy it. But I just wanted to kind of set the record straight today a little bit on the difference between a Texaco Big Friend and International Fiberglass waving giant. Two different giants completely.